So hi, how are you?
No. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Tejas. How are you?
I'm great. Things are great. Everything's good here. So
Yeah,
since I'm recording this, would you like give a brief intro about yourself?
yeah, sure. Myself, I'm a graduate from NIT Trichy, 23 batch.
Okay.
I graduated as a electronics and communication engineer.
Hmm.
I had a CGPA of 8.9796 by graduating. So I was decently good in my
Hmm.
academics during my college. So and while during in my college time, I was part of uh, a research club in Spider, as called as Spider in NIT Trichy. So we did all of these robotics, AML, and electronic stuff. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
this was yeah. So this is just was my background in college, and regarding my academic interests, I was really into the electronics part of EC. I was not much in touch with the communications part. I mean, that was a no go for. It was not a no go for me. I was more interested in the electronics stuff, so I concentrated more on digital and analog electronics. During our placement, our internship period, right? There were campus
Yeah.
internships
Right after third year.
coming down. Yeah, right after third year. Uh, no, right after second year, we would go for a third year summer internships, right? After
Right.
third
Right.
year.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so uh, during that time, I got into Micron as
Hmm.
AMS, into the AMS team of Micron. So I wasn't much inclined towards analog during that time, but you know, when I started analog at the AMS work and the analog work over there, it was very much interesting, and it was a really new learning experience. So I thought, okay, fine. I think I like analog better, so I started putting in more effort into it.
Okay. Just a quick
And
question to get more into your
yeah,
background. So were you
sure.
preparing for these core companies, or were you like applying to all the companies and then just going for what you got?
It was COVID at the time. I was just applying for core companies because I didn't get CSE batch in NIT, but I chose EC because I wanted to come into hardware.
Right. Right. But
So
you can still apply for like other
yeah,
big software companies.
I could, but I was not much interested in
Okay. Okay.
software
That's
at
good.
that time.
Hmm.
So I just didn't even apply for those. It was not confidence; it was just the interest part, right? It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
not just overconfidence; it was the interest part which stopped me from doing that. I wanted to,
Yeah, yeah, I did the
because
same things. I know.
yeah. So I got into Micron, and work was going good. But just before our replacement offers could roll out, the company went into a hiring freeze because Micron was really
Yeah, yeah,
hard
yeah.
hit
I
during
heard.
the
Yeah.
COVID time. Yeah, so those and I wasn't well prepared for campus placement at that time because as soon as the internship's over, campus
Yeah,
placements would start.
that's how it is,
In
right?
fact, it started even before me coming to college, almost at the same time. So
Hmm.
immediately Texas came, and
Oh, right. For
I
you
just
guys,
cleared the
it's
OT.
in like July, August, right? The
Yeah,
interviews and
it's
all.
in the starting. Yeah, exactly. So it
Right.
is in the
Okay.
starting of August, only in the August first week. So I cleared TOTs, but during the last round of interviews, I messed it up big time.
Hmm.
I don't know, during a 48. Then I wasn't prepared for digital at the time as well. But there were people who are already prepared for digital. I mean, who didn't
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
internship, right? They were preparing for the entire period. And at the same time, I was also confident that I would get a PPO, right? So I was like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
let's just roll with it. It's fine, it's cool. That's what I thought, but it didn't quite set as well. So I messed up during the placement time. Uh, and later, and still I was fixated on analog, right? So I was like, I'll still sit for now. The shortlisting became even less because I was not as competent in digital as the other people.
Right.
So I was more confident in analog. So I was focusing more on analog. And for the analog companies which were coming, I did apply for them, like Silicon Labs came and Synopsys came. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, in Synopsys, I couldn't get clear. I couldn't clear it to the analog role. I somehow cleared it for the digital route. I don't know how. It was
Yeah, it's
just
a lot luck based also. You can't control all the
yeah,
factors. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The placements went way south. It was not as
Mm,
expected for me, so I just put a big piece for all of the placement stuff because in Silicon Labs also I did go for the interview. It was good, but somehow for some reason I think I didn't uh, qualify their expectations probably because I don't know. It was immediately after Texas as well, but so I just okay accepted the fact that okay placements isn't going good for us. We'll just look for it in off campus. So that was my end of college, and then I applied off campus in few companies. Just Nvidia was there and Synopsys was there. So this time I wasn't like not very prepared in digital also. So I prepared digital. So uh, just in case, right? I know analog is my passion, but now it's very hard times after the recession and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I get a job at least to
yeah,
make
yeah, I know
myself
how it
in a
is. Yeah.
position. Yeah. So Nvidia was there, and that's Synopsys. I got an option, or I mean, I got an opportunity. So Nvidia and Synopsys they happened at the both happened at the same time, and I got in Synopsys first. So I just it was
Yeah.
like an immediate joining, like within a week or something. So I just rolled out to Hyderabad. I shifted to Hyderabad, and right now I'm the physical design domain, totally opposite to what I
Yeah,
wanted to
it's
be. Yeah, but the thing is, right. It's been like almost 4 months in PE domain. I'm still a graduate engineering training and not a full-time employee also.
okay. There's
Because
this probation period, right? Something like that.
it's not more like a probation period. It was like according to I mean, they had openings for 10,
Okay.
but five they can only get in as interns and later convert. Basically,
Okay.
as
Okay.
a
Got it.
graduate training. It was more like an M.Tech role also. B.Tech people had to have training before them being converted into full time
Hmm.
because right, companies they would prefer training people in the intern salary because it's much less and because we are not
Yeah.
contributing much to the company. So yeah, that thing happened and I am still a graduate trainee only. So things happened. I was just thinking I still want to get into unlock. So I thought maybe I'll start the preparations. Once
Okay.
I
Okay.
started the preparations, I did feel like, okay, we are going in some methodological way in analog. Why not approach it from a different perspective? Because, uh, clearing interns or placement things are fine, but it's not just clearing the interviews and placement after a point, right? You need to be more proficient in analog. Let's say you don't have to I wanted analog to be like my instincts, like because let's say you wake up and ask a question to me, I don't want to be thinking about it. I just want to be in the flow with analog.
Yeah.
So that's I wanted to improve myself in analog. So that's when I came across few of your videos, right? I found it really interesting, like
Okay.
uh, the impedance at 2 notes. That was
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
really good.
Thanks, man.
So that was a really good video. So I went through few of your videos. It was really good, and I thought the way you say analog was really good. So I wanted to learn that as well. Uh, because for any person who is going into analog, it was like more like you go through Razavi lectures and
Yeah.
those kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I mean, Razavi is a really great
Mm-hmm.
professor. I know that, but the thing was, okay, instead of let's say I'm giving you a MOS, you are given a MOSFET. You just don't rhetorically find the input impedance, output impedance, those
Yeah.
things, gain, GM, how GM is different, all those things. Instead, maybe try to approach it in a more intuitive way. Maybe what I am doing is a very not a wrong approach. Maybe it's a longer approach to understand the circuit. Okay, where
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
break the circuits here? So these kind of you know uh,
Okay. Okay. Got
clarity I
it.
wanted to get. But yeah, you get it right.
So, I
Uh,
mean, I'm no expert because I'm also a fresher in the industry,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like it's not that I know everything, but in
yeah.
fact, I don't know anything. I rather every day I feel like I don't know anything. When I read some paper, I feel like there's so much
Right,
more to know. But
right.
one thing is, so this starts like during my like college days, like even before college, 11, 12, like when I used to study physics. So there were like
Right.
two ways to go about it. One was like the intuitive way, and because physics is quite intuitive, right? Mechanics and all those things.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
one of my teachers, he used to say that you have to build the right intuitions, otherwise you might feel that this would happen, but you would be totally wrong. So
That's true. Yeah.
the good thing about maths is it won't lie. I mean, if you do it rightly, it would
Hmm.
obviously give you the right answer. So
Correct.
the idea is whenever what I did was whenever I solved a question, so I
Yeah.
obviously trusted maths like fully,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
after like I knew that this was the answer, I tried to build up
Right.
some intuition. What if I get this question again, or if I see this situation again, how can I,
Hmm.
get to that answer without, going through all those
Hmm.
cumbersome
Correct.
calculations.
Right. Right.
So that's one way. And the thing is, I mean, there are many resources. It's not like a black and white answer where I can just give you
Hmm.
this is the way to do it. But
Correct. Yeah.
it comes with practice, that's for sure. See, because in the start, I remember during college when I didn't get these intuitive approaches. All I used to think was ki it's too much. It's like a gamble to think intuitively. You
Hmm.
might be wrong, you might be right. Let's just go with the maths
True.
and see how it goes because the maths won't
Right.
lie to you.
That's
So,
true.
but then eventually, after you look at those circuits again and again, you kind of build your own intuitions on your own. It just happens.
True. Right.
So, yeah,
Uh, yeah, the thing was, um, it's totally what you're saying is true. Like, Max won't lie. That is totally true. But let's say, especially for analog design engineers, what I felt, at least from all the professional guys who are going out there working on it, I just noticed one thing during my intern as well. Like, there was totally an op amp with feedback, some kind of, it was like a regulator circuit, almost like an LDO.
hmm
But the thing was, I looked on it. I didn't know what LDO was at that time because I was just a third year
yeah, yeah,
graduate. I mean, I had a faintest idea. I was like looking through it. Okay, there is some resistors. All I could think of was, okay, here we can could put a KCL. Here we can put a KVL. Okay,
mm.
right. Here there is a voltage node. We can analyze upon. Okay, fine. These are all the things which I looked upon, right? But in the working level professionals, what they did was, they just dissected the circuit, right? Okay, there is an op amp. There is a gain part here. Okay, fine. There is a resistor divider. Okay, the gain is somehow dividing over there. Okay, still
Yeah.
the gain is
Actually,
being produced
so
over there.
sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing
definitely,
is,
definitely.
that most of these complicated, like not that I've gone through all complicated circuits, but
Yeah,
most of them can be broken down into simple topologies that we study in like first, second, third year of college, like those common
right.
gate, common source, common drain, then RC circuits. So all of
Yeah,
those can be broken down into these smaller bits. And once you're able,
yeah.
so the key idea is to recognize those individual topologies. When you're able to break it down into those, and when you're able to recognize the negative or positive feedback in the circuit, that simplifies
Right.
it like tremendously.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was really, instead of that's when I realized, okay, fine. Instead of just going blindly with KCL, KVL, or Thevenin Norton stuff, I thought, okay, fine, we'll take a different approach because when he tried to do that, whatever I had an idea about a circuit, it was totally wrong. Like even mathematically, when I was thinking about it, right? Because I thought, okay, I'll isolate this. Then I started to think about that. Okay, I thought maybe going through an intuitive approach will be really helpful because first of all, it simplifies the circuit separately. Then you can take all the bits and pieces, put it together, then finally apply a KCL or KVL, whichever then it actually helps because when I blankly saw that LDO, it was really, really complicated for me at the time. But after he broke it down, I know what op amp is separately. I know what resistor
Yeah,
divider
yeah,
is separately. We are, how the op amp operates, those kind of stuff. I was like, okay, fine, this is how we have to approach and all. So, then I was like, the thing is, I do want to get your, advice on something like, let's say, how do I, expose myself more to analog circuitry. Like let's say generally I did notice that few of your videos you were saying something about going through research papers, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh, uh, while I was in my college, I used to go through a lot of research paper because of my club. But when it comes to analog, right, it was
they're
really
complicated.
yeah, exactly. Like you definitely need some kind of reference to work upon. the
Yeah,
paper.
like
Like
a base
you take a
knowledge. Yeah.
paper. Yeah, exactly. So when I wanted to look into analog stuff, the first things I which I see in a paper, those are really complicated stuff. And moreover,
Yeah.
the thing is, I also want to have some advice from you on how to approach a research paper, because sometimes it might be very tricky at part to find stuff, or how to refer from one paper, how to take the information and maybe process it or something, maybe some of
Okay,
this.
so I was exactly in the same situation as you, because when I first started reading these analog research papers, I actually found them boring and I didn't understand
Right,
anything. I mean,
right,
there was very small amount of information that I could grasp. So
right.
then the thing was, and I was not just working in analog circuits, but even in semiconductor device modeling. So that is more
Oh,
towards the
right,
physics side.
right,
So
right,
then what happened was, I started building my analog knowledge. I stopped reading papers. I just started
correct,
reading all these basic, I started reading textbooks. I started reading coursework and all those in college. And
right.
also, there are many YouTube videos also. Not like, so the thing with YouTube is, you can't rely. You don't know if that information is authentic or not.
Yes,
So
correct.
I only went to trusted sources. Like there were professors from my own college, IIT
Right.
Kanpur, and there is that NPTEL lectures from IIT Madras.
Yeah.
They are really good.
Right.
So those I
Right.
knew, like it's like for sure that they are great. So
Yeah.
I referred to those. I built up some basics. After those basics were there, so eventually it's like by bit you go up, and suddenly you realize that you're able to grasp some things. So let's say
Hmm.
I uh, I'm looking at the band gap reference circuit, and
Right.
I study that through a course. So that
Hmm.
course will teach me the basic principle. It will teach me how to analyze, go through equations and all those things. But that would be some
Correct.
simple topology, probably a Brocaw cell or some basic topology they would talk about. Now the next step
Right.
is, so rather than, either that professor would have cited or referred to some paper, so you can go to that paper because he would have
Right.
already covered most things in that same paper. So
Correct.
you would get an idea from there because you already have a working knowledge. And
Right.
apart from that, there's one thing called Solid State Circuits magazine. So those
Right.
articles are much simpler than research papers, and
Right.
but they are not so simple that you find them trivial. You'll obviously learn something from them. So those are
Definitely.
great
Okay.
resources.
Right. Maybe go through articles, go through the papers which are referenced inside the research papers. Those are the general tips you would say, right?
Yeah.
While going through a research paper. Because as you said, uh, like there were I'm not really sure about all these stuff, but gain boosting techniques and stuff, right?
Yeah.
These kind of stuff we generally don't get into in B.Tech, I guess. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
B.Tech graduate only. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, these kind of extra stuff, whatever we learn in B.Tech was just, differential amplifiers, how they work, why they work in
Yeah.
the differential way, CMRR, the rejection ratio, those kind of things. But let's say just in building a op amp, like I say, a dual stage op amp, you need a gain stage, you need a buffer stage or whatever. That's
Mm-hmm.
a simple op amp. So, when you try to analyze that, uh, I do think there are, as you said, there are a number of YouTube videos. But the thing is, everyone has a different approach. I'll just say, tell you an example. While I was having the, Silicon Labs interview, which during my placements, I saw IITM's Nagendra Krishna Prasad's video lectures.
Yeah.
There he would explain that you are taking in the input and you are giving it through a source follower,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
similarly another differential input and giving it through a source follower, and you are basically trying to subtract the input, two
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
inputs, right? He would say it in an intuitive way. He would say
Mm.
obviously, but few are not really accepting the fact that, like, when I tried to tell that to my interviewer, I couldn't explain it to him properly. That is my mistake. That is totally fine. That is
Okay.
totally
Okay.
true.
Mm.
I'm not saying that he's wrong or he's wrong. But the thing
Mm.
was, we don't know how to project stuff also, whichever we are trying to learn. We
Yeah.
learn n number of stuff, n number of intuitive ways of thinking also from different guys. So I just wanted to know what might be the first authentic way of personally learning stuff. Like as you said, research papers are really good way, I guess.
Yeah,
And
but they come at a more later level because
Later
For
level. Yeah,
even reading research papers, you need some working knowledge. So
that is true. Yeah,
after you build through, there are many courses and all, not paid courses. I'm
right,
talking about these YouTube lectures and all. So from
right, right,
those and even your college material, because it's all these basic things are, you can find them anywhere.
right,
So
right,
once you have a good grasp on those, then that would
right,
give you a base knowledge to start building upon. And
right, right.
like
Got
you mentioned this example, so what I think is the way was right. I mean, what you tried to do was right, but maybe first of all, I like that you don't have that victim mindset that he didn't
it.
listen to me, he didn't do that. You
Yeah,
like took the blame on
right.
yourself that I might have not explained well. So that is probable because in an
Yeah,
interview, it's not just what you know, it's also, you're stressed, you're nervous, and you kind of,
yeah, that's true.
you're not able to speak properly and all those things. So
True.
maybe that could have also been the reason. So the idea
Right.
is, the only thing you can do is learn from, like, you have to
What?
identify why you were not able to explain it. Was it
Right.
some gap in your understanding, or was it that you were not able to convey it properly? So, and
Right.
you try
Right.
to
Got
fix those things.
Yeah, maybe during the interview stages, I think I need to work myself a bit upon because I'm not maybe probably projecting what needs to be projected. Like there is a way of projecting also, I guess, like the giving out the answers. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I should work
so
on
I
that
don't
pressure.
have a lot of experience with interviews, but
Right, right,
when I asked my seniors before I gave my first interview, they told me that
right,
whenever you're in an interview, you try to convey whatever you're going through. Let's say they gave you some question, so you don't just solve
right,
the question and then show them this is the answer. You actually go through each step. That whatever you're doing, you try to convey. Ki, I'm trying to,
right,
at this frequency, C will be shorted or whatever, and then you write whatever equation you're writing.
right,
So
right,
they
right.
kind of
Got it.
have an idea. Otherwise, because the thing is, let's say you just go, you show them the final solution. It might happen that your solution is wrong. You made some mistake in the middle somewhere.
That is
They would, then,
true,
they have no way to judge you.
true, true. Correct, correct. So maybe if they just at least know that we are going in a correct path, but we are making some,
Yeah,
let's
it,
say,
it actually
calculation
helps. I
mistakes.
mean, in my interview,
True.
uh, I don't remember, it was like 2 years ago. I don't know if I said something
Right,
wrong or not, but
right.
I followed this and I could see that, it actually helped.
Helped. Okay, right. Got it. I'll do that. Uh, the one last thing is I just wanted to know about how the industry experience in analog design is because uh, sometimes since how actually the workflow goes in an analog design company or something because you're from TI,
Yeah,
obviously they are a very reputed for analog design at least. Not at least they are like really great at automotive
yeah,
chips
yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
true.
I just wanted to know they are specifically really good in analog design, right? Because I don't know of much companies, reputed companies hiring B.Tech for analog design because wherever I see, let's say in some Qualcomm or Intel or whatever, they at least require like 3+ years of experience in analog design for hiring. But freshers don't get that opportunity. In They do need some kind, but analog. See, I mean, TA gives that. I just wanted to know how actually analog design works, like how different it is from what we are studying. Because you know, before getting into that, I do want to know how analog design is from your perspective. Uh,
Okay,
yeah,
so first, I would like to say that this depends a lot on your team, your managers, and all those, because
right,
they decide how the experience that
right,
you have over there. So that's
right,
there.
right,
But fortunately, I have a great team, and
right,
the work culture is good there. So that's one. Then second, related to the work. So uh, when we are in college in the analog design, what we learn is like we learn to analyze circuits, like solve them. But
right,
I guess you wouldn't have any exposure on simulating circuits, or maybe on LT
right.
Spice probably.
Yeah, while I was in my college club, we did something called a project of sort in analog design. So it was like analog memory circuit array. We tried to use this 130 nanometer package, which is open source by
Mhm.
Google. Uh,
Yeah,
we use like ngSpice, Xscheme, Magic. All these are open source
yeah, yeah, yeah.
softwares, like the layout tools and stuff. So we tried it out a bit, but as you said, we had zero, clue on how to proceed to it. Let's say we are doing some simulations. Okay, fine. there are next comes corners. There are different corners and stuff, right? We have to
Yeah.
simulate all those across the corners. Simulate for Monte Carlo, those kind of stuff. We had no idea because in college level, all these stuff are not being taught, right? And
Yeah.
maybe only professors know all these stuff, and they are also more. I mean, if they have prior industry knowledge, they'll have even expertise which they can help us to do. I mean, work on. But during college time, all this stuff I know there were there. Simulation is there. Okay, fine. How do you run these simulations? You write a control file in some simulation language like HSpace or NGSpace or whatever. You simulate them, you get the results, you compare them, you see the waveforms, all those things I know theoretically again, all those stuff.
Okay.
But
Okay.
when
Okay.
I
You've
try to
never
work
done
it
it.
out, it yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to know what analog design holds. Is it just like the same? Is it like the simulation thing of uh, uh, of what we expect? Because let's say a fresher graduate, what they would expect if it's analog design, you would put in MOSFETs. You will see the at least that's what we do, right? In the LT space, we see the spectrum. I mean, the frequency response. We see the
Yeah.
stability, gain margin, phase margin. We try to adjust all those stuff.
Yeah. All of
I just
those
wanted to
hold
know.
true here.
Yeah, but apart from that, what are all the aspects in analog domain? Like, is there some kind of I did hear about analog modeling, something of like the library itself will be modeling the analog packages and stuff. I mean, I just wanted to know what kind of streams can be taken in analog design itself. Is it just like the
I mean,
simulation part which comes in?
if you say analog design, then the idea is you
Yeah,
design some circuits and you tape them out on silicon and see how they
right,
should work, right? The analog design
right,
is strictly is that, but the process to synthesizing or deciding a circuit topology and then taping it out on silicon, that would
yeah,
involve not just design but also layout, validation,
layout,
and all those
right,
things. So in the industry, typically layout is done by other people. Like analog design, the design simulation part would done by some people. Then a
right,
different team would do the layout, and then a different team would do the test and validation. But it's not like they're
right,
entirely exclusive of each other. They obviously collaborate and discuss things amongst themselves. But
right,
if you speak about analog design, what you would, I can't, speak about my projects because of the NDA, but I
right,
can
yeah,
give an example.
definitely,
Like you might be asked to design an op amp, they would give you some specifications. Like this is the
right,
gain you want, this is the bandwidth or unity gain frequency you want, and all those things.
right,
And then so you usually start with a basic topology. I mean, this would vary team to team, but what
right,
I've seen is you start with some basic topology that, the simple textbook topology, and you try to
right,
see what results you're getting with that topology. And after
right,
that,
right,
or this is one way, the other ways you might have some, reference circuits to begin with already from the previous, teams or previous designs. So
right,
you
right,
begin with
right.
those, you design those, you see what's the best performance you're getting. Then you try to
Right.
build up on those if you have some ideas, or if that works for you, because let's say that fits your power budget and area constraints and all those things, then
Yeah.
that's good, right? So you go ahead with it and
Yeah.
you send it out.
Right. Got it. Got it. Yes. So I just wanted to know, and also, how do you think what do you think about the prospect of analog design? I mean, let's say we are freshers right now. What all do you think analog design engineers can work upon in the future? Like, because may it be in terms of hires perspective, or maybe in terms of career perspective without any masters or something, let's say. Uh,
Yeah.
what all paths can an analog engineer take? Is there any idea which you can know?
I
Yeah.
mean, so your question, you asked two questions, right? One was that the paths through this analog domain hierarchy, and the other was
Yeah.
related to the bachelor's and master's thing.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So, I mean, I had the same question before I converted. So I joined as a bachelor's, and then later I
Right.
converted to a dual degree, which means
Right.
a master's. So
Right.
the idea, so that time I talked to a lot of people on LinkedIn and, college seniors, those kinds.
Right.
And
Right.
the consensus, so there's no short answer, because if I say something, you can easily find someone on LinkedIn or somewhere who has defined that path, and he did it the other way and it worked for
Yeah.
him. So there's not
Correct.
one true answer. But
That's true.
from many people, the consensus was that they kind of promote having a master's if you're in this VLSI domain.
Right. Right.
So
Because even while applying for jobs, right, I did see masters with zero experience is very common, but bachelors with zero experience is
yeah,
not being
correct.
taken.
It's
Because
not just
masters is
purely a technical thing. It's also
right,
because let's say you have a bachelor's and you join, and I have a master's and
right,
I join. We might have the same knowledge, but the thing is
right,
now if I go for higher studies, it would only be either MBA or PhD, mostly these
correct,
two.
correct.
But
Yes,
you might leave the company in a year or two and go for masters elsewhere.
correct,
So
correct, right, right.
those things are there. That's why they kind of, I mean, that's what I believe that that's the
Prefer.
reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true, and I do think like masters have a broader. I mean, they would have done more than academically as well, I guess, because
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously,
B.Tech
that's
the
true.
exposure is yeah. So I can understand that part. I just wanted to know like let's say I'm doing masters, right? Is
Mhm.
it going to be only analog design in which it can be done, or
No, no.
what are all the I mean, like from the analog domain, let's say I want to be in the analog domain, maybe let's say what are all the prospect, as you said, you talked about the whole analog design as a whole, right? Maybe all those specific
Yeah.
domains can
So
be taken as highest, right?
at my college, usually you started out with analog design, and
Right,
after design, you were supposed to lay out your the circuit that you designed, and then
right,
ideally, so it's actually hard to do all of that within the stipulated time of a master's degree. But
right,
if it's an MSR degree, which is there in, I don't know if it's there in all universities, but there is one
right,
master's by research kind of degree. So there you were
right, right.
supposed to tape out a circuit during your master's if you wanted to graduate.
Oh,
So
oh,
you
okay,
tape it out, then you test it out. You go through the entire process on your own. So,
okay, right.
but
That's
during a
actually, yeah,
master's, my friends they designed and they lay out typically. That's it.
right, right. Got it. Uh, and also the last question. I'm really sorry for taking so much time of your time,
Yeah,
please.
it's fine.
Uh, yeah. So, what do you think about the current industry situation? Like, how is it for VLSI or analog design? For me specifically, at least, because
I
I've been
mean,
right
I
now for.
personally am quite, bullish on it because I
Okay.
feel, I mean, even if you look at the number of companies, AMD recently opened the new design center here in Bangalore,
Right.
and
Right.
uh, hiring wise also, I mean, there is some economic turmoil right now, but the analog or not just analog, even in hardware, digital analog, everyone they are still hiring. It's not like
Right.
software where they have, the situation is terrible over there right now. But
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Got it. So that's what I've been speaking about because conditions are getting a bit better in the 24th since we are nearing 2024. They are saying that the openings as well. So yeah, these are all the things I really wanted to know because from a perspective, from a a person who entered the industry and who has passion for analog, right? So I
yeah.
wanted to get their perspective how it was because I became really passionate about analog and yeah, I didn't even want to go to other domains. So I'm really obsessed with, not obsessed, I would say it's more of an interest, a deep
Mhm.
interest. So I just
Just by
wanted
the
to get
way,
your perspective.
I
Yeah,
didn't mention this. So related to the master's thing,
yeah,
I mean, on paper it says. I mean, I don't want to say it this way, but on paper they say it's like just a 2 years master's degree. But
yeah.
typically, in circuits it gets extended because they expect you to at least lay out the circuit. Ideally, they expect you
Right,
to
right,
even tape out sometimes. So it takes some time.
right, right.
And
No, it is
uh,
actually a really big process, right? Because B.Tech guys, we don't even, just get the simulation, just a scratch of it.
yeah,
I totally understand on why M.Tech they prefer with 0 years experience because they would have gone through like their thesis work and all those kind of stuff, which
yeah.
we don't generally, right? I can totally understand that. I just wanted to know like what prospects are there for analog designers
Mhm.
as a stream. I wanted to know what all streams are there for masters. Let's say if you're going through analog design, I just wanted to know like what all streams you can take for masters.
So
That's
first of
yeah,
all, if it's just semiconductors, not even analog design, like a broader perspective. In
right,
semiconductors, you have many options, and out of those, it's not like if so my thesis was in device modeling, but I joined as
right,
an analog designer here, right? So it's not
right, right.
like just because my thesis wasn't in that domain, I can't
Hmm.
go for that job. So
Correct.
that's
Okay.
there. And I personally feel like it was a good decision for me to go
Mhm.
for device modeling because it gives a broader exposure into the
Right.
semiconductor domain
Right. Right.
versus me
For
just being
yeah.
specialized into one. I mean, specialization is obviously great, but I feel
Right.
like at the beginning or onset of your career, you should have a
Broader
jack of all
perspective.
trades kind of mentality. You should
Yeah. That's
build breadth into your domain.
true. True. Definitely. True. I need to take this advice, to be honest. Instead of being,
Mm.
very pinpoint on what I need to do. I do need to have my cards to play, different cards. I need to
Yeah.
broaden my perspective, I guess. Yeah. I think that's all my questions. Tejas. I'm really, really
Okay, that's
happy that
great.
this call happened. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was
uh,
nice talking to you. I liked your
yeah.
uh, what do I say? I mean, the mentality that you have. I felt like I mentioned
Yeah.
it. It's not that victim kind of a mentality.
Yeah. I mean, after a point, you do need to realize that. Uh, I mean,
You have to
I
take
do think
the
people need to.
responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, at least during the start, you can, pacify yourself saying, okay, the interview didn't go well, the interview was too hard or something like that. But after a
yeah.
point, I think people need to take in some kind of responsibility to, proceed or
Yeah,
get
I
ahead
mean,
in
those
their
things might be
other.
true. All those excuses or whatever, they might be
Yeah,
valid. It's not like they're not
that's
valid,
true.
but
Yeah,
that doesn't matter, right? So at the end of the day,
yeah,
the
exactly.
results or whatever
Exactly,
happens,
exactly.
that's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 That's what. So I just wanted to stop on, I put a stop on all the external factors and maybe improve myself towards what might be a better, fruitful experience for me later on. Like I wanted to, be better in interviews, let's say, be better in technical. So I just wanted to improve because I still have maybe a month time before all these companies start rolling out their offers for 2024. Because
Hmm.
right now, currently, I don't even mind joining as an intern in analog design and maybe converting again because we
That's
don't
how
know how
badly you
the
want to
industry.
switch.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. I don't mind. I don't mind because at the end of the day, if I like what I'm doing, it's totally fine. Either you should be doing what you don't like and be paid heftily. Let's say. I mean, this is my
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
uh,
got it. Yeah.
motto of my life, right? If you're doing something which you don't like, just get paid heavily, so that you can compensate yourself, or else do something which you really like and get paid decently or not too very good, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I also tried for few startups uh, in analog design. Uh, those came out to be the results came out to be good, but the compensation was way less, right? Because
There,
startups you
no, there
can't
are some
expect
great
them to pay.
startups right now. There's one
Yeah,
called Ixana.